Go.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Hip Drop Podcast. Lucas and I are back after our Week 7 review last night. And of course, as you may notice, we have a guest with us today for the second time coming on, Matt Verderame from Sports Illustrated. Matt was kind enough to take time out of his day to join Lucas and I. So, Matt, how you doing on this Wednesday?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Very good. And anyone who follows Matt knows that he is a lifelong diehard Kansas City Chiefs fan, and we'll be discussing the Chiefs and how they have kind of become resurgent on offense after a couple lean years on that side of the ball, and why, despite the fact that their record isn't outstanding, they just went above 500 for the first time this season, beating a very, 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 very bad Raiders team on Sunday. They are the team to beat, and not only the AFC, but the entire NFL. But first, Matt, I know it's been a while. You were last on in February for the Super Bowl preview. So tell us what you're all about, like your history with the Chiefs and what you do over at SI.
Yeah, I cover the whole league. So I'm a national NFL reporter for us. I'm 1 of 4 alongside Albert Breer, Connor Orr, and Gilberto Manzano. I go to different games throughout the year. I'll be at Green Bay and Philadelphia in a few weeks up in Lambeau. I'm going to the Kansas City Washington game, first time at Arrowhead this year. I cover any and all NFL topics, and then I've got podcasts and I stay plenty busy. So it's a fun time of year. It's a busy time of year. My wife probably wants to kill me half the time during this time of year, but that's okay. She knew what she was getting into.
And this is the best part of the season because like you're in the middle of the year, you're really kind of like understand like who the good teams are, who the really bad teams are, and there are a lot of like really, really bad football teams this year. Luckily, the Chiefs are not one of them. So they looked like it the first couple of weeks. They started 0-2. They've won 4 of their next 5 games. They sit at 4-3. And the interesting part about the Chiefs, Matt, is that they would not be in the playoffs if the season started today. They're 3rd in the AFC West. Yet when you look at any sports book, any betting line, they are the favorites to not only represent the AFC, but to win the Super Bowl. So despite the fact that their record isn't exactly outstanding, and Lucas will chime in here as well, why do you think that they are the best team in the AFC? Like, what's the case for them to be the favorite to once again go to the Super Bowl, which I'm sure everybody would love?
Well, the AFC this year stinks, which is part of it. There's not a lot of good teams. I think another part of it is Mahomes and the offense are playing in a way they haven't in a few years. He's thrown for 1,800 yards. He's got over 2,000 yards total. And he has like 18 total touchdowns. So that's part of it. Part of it, though, is like, that Raiders game. I've mentioned this now in a few different pods, but it's worth repeating. At least I think it is. There are a decent amount of teams that could score 31 points on the Raiders and hang 400 yards on them. Yeah. There are a handful of teams that could shut them out. I don't know how many teams could do both. That might be one team. And that's where, look, the Chiefs are 5th in defense and they're 5th in offense, and that's by yardage. They're 6th in offensive scoring. They're 3rd in defensive scoring. They're solid across the board. And it's not to say they don't have flaws. Like, they don't win a ton of one-on-ones rushing the passer outside of Chris Jones. That's frustrating. Bolton in coverage on 3rd down is a train wreck. Their running backs are not particularly strong. And yet they're actually 4th in EPA per rush, which is
that's crazy.
A lot of that's because of Mahomes. Yeah. But they have fewer weaknesses than anybody else in the conference, unless you want to say Indianapolis, which fine. But I would argue if you gave me Mahomes and Daniel Jones in the playoff games, who are you taking? It would answer the question. So I think all those things point to why they are the betting favorites, not only in the AFC but period, to win the Super Bowl.
And when you look at their history, it's all they've done. They go to the Super Bowl every year except for one. And when you look at the team last year, they went 15-2. They lost one meaningful game the entire regular season. This is my opinion. I don't know if you or Lucas disagree. Just by watching the games, this team's better than last year's team, despite the fact that their record is worse. They're so much better offensively. Defensively, I even think they're a little better because they were, once Watson got hurt, their pass defense was a little shaky last season. So, Lucas, what do you think? Where are you at with this Chiefs team almost midway through the 2025 season?
Yeah, they're the favorites. I don't think the sports books are overthinking it. Don't think they're going galaxy brain. The Chiefs are the only team in the NFL that's top 5 in both scoring or on offense and defensive yards against per game. And they're also the only other team other than Seattle Seahawks that are top 6 in scoring for and against per game. So they're passing the eye test, at least if you're not a Chiefs hater, they're passing the eye test. And they're really getting bailed out from the fact that really the AFC stinks, and the only team that's separating themselves in the only other team separating themselves in the conference is the Indianapolis Colts. Like
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo, we thought after the first 2 weeks might be well ahead of Kansas City in terms of the number one seed. That margin for error from Buffalo's end is pretty much gone unless they could beat Kansas City in a few weeks. And I just don't trust anyone else in the conference. Like the trust tree in terms of AFC Super Bowl contenders is pretty small. Like Buffalo's defense is pretty bad. I don't trust Daniel Jones, and like everyone else has warts. And in terms of the NFC, like there are a couple teams that could be that could be like high level elite. Like maybe the Eagles figure it out. Detroit, if Tampa gets healthy. But other than that, like there's no real clear best team in the NFL. And so you got to have the team that's been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls, has an elite scoring offense and defense, and is well coached on both sides of the ball, and a quarterback that's playing at pretty much an MVP level.
Yeah, we'll get, speaking of Mahomes, so the Chiefs offense this year is the best it's been since 2022 when they won Super Bowl 57. And despite their success as a team since then, offensively, Matt, the last couple of years was kind of a slog. Like we discussed that ad nauseum, like they really struggled to move the ball. Even last year, despite the fact that they, had a great record, they weren't exactly a juggernaut offensively. I think part of that is due to the fact that Rashee Rice got hurt. They were trying to integrate Xavier Worthy. Their offensive line, particularly their left tackle situation, was really, really a mess. And they addressed that really well this offseason with both Josh Simmons and Jalen Moore proving to be probably the free agent signing of the offseason, stepping in very nicely in Simmons' absence. So, Matt, I want you to discuss, because you know more about football than Lucas and I do, like how this offensive resurgence for Kansas City, because the last couple of years, like, despite the fact that I do think Mahomes was playing very well, he just didn't have the talent around him. And now that he has when he has a healthy Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, even Travis Kelce I think is playing better this year. It shows that when he has the team around him, nobody can compare.
The last 4 weeks, they've had 30 offensive drives with their starters, not including kneeling down the ball. They scored on 21 of those drives.
Yeah.
It's a 70% clip. Like the Colts are having an all-time year right now offensively, and they're at 61. Like last year, the highest team was Detroit at like 51.5. Look, right now, it's a lot of things. Their offensive line is playing better, I'd argue, than they've ever played in front of him. I mean, even early on in his career, their interior wasn't very good early on. Like they had a kind of a hodgepodge of guys in the middle, Duvernay Tardif and Stefan Wisniewski and Austin Ryder.
Yeah.
Like
Cam Irving.
This is probably the best offensive line I've ever had.
Yeah.
And that is showing. The problem teams have with them is it's a combination of he's got all day to throw the ball. By the way, against Washington, he's going to have about 8 seconds without throwing strong. So he's got all day to throw the ball. And they've got a million guys to throw it to. I mean, they don't have anybody who's like Justin Jefferson, although Rice, I think, if fully healthy, is probably close to a top 10 receiver. But you have Rice, you have Worthy, you have Brown, you have Juju, you have Kelce, you have Gray, you have now Brashard Smith out of the backfield. Like you have all these guys. Thornton is another one. Like, none of them are unbelievable. Rice is probably a Pro Bowl level receiver, but like the rest of them, they all range from like a bit like a spare part to being a good player like Xavier Worthy. But it's so hard to cover all of those guys for 3+ seconds. It's just they're going to just go 4 and 5 wide a lot of times and say, "Go ahead, cover them, do it." And even when they are covered occasionally, he'll take off and run for 10 yards. It becomes very difficult. I don't think it's a coincidence that all of a sudden now they're running the ball pretty well, like yards per attempt.
Yeah,
there's nobody in the box. Like you can't put more than 6 guys down there. Like you're terrified of them throwing the ball. So that's all part of it. Jalen Moore has come in for Simmons and played very well. I think Kingsley Suamataia deserves a lot of credit. Among just about everybody else in the preseason was terrified of watching Kingsley Suamataia. He was awful in the preseason. He wasn't that good in the first 2 weeks of the season. He has been a brick wall since then. Taylor, when he's not taking penalties, is fine. The big thing with Taylor is not taking penalties. He has it now in a month. All that stuff combined, look, I think you're just going to see teams defensively say, we are going to play shell coverages. We're going to play a ton of zone. We're going to sit back, and we're going to basically allow you to just walk down the field and hopefully hold you in the red zone. And I think that's what it's going to come down to for the Chiefs. Like, you have to play well in the red zone, and you can't beat yourselves. Let's be honest. They would have beat Jacksonville by 2 touchdowns if they didn't beat themselves in that game.
Yeah.
But they beat themselves. Like that's what it's going to be for this team. If they even against teams like Buffalo, if they don't beat themselves and they just execute inside the 20, they'll win. They're just better than these teams, but that's what it's going to come down to.
All right, Lucas, want to add on to that?
Yeah, I mean, I largely agree. Just to kind of be more specific, I think the main difference between this team, this Chiefs offense, and last year's offense is I think they have more of an identity. And to be fair, it's a lot easier to have your identity when you have all the horses. Like it wasn't really fair to criticize Mahomes' performance last year when he had a turnstile at left tackle and all of his receivers were seemingly unhealthy or a rookie. I think specifically where I think the Chiefs are elite at is the quick passing game. Like everything's coming out bang. Like Mahomes is not sitting in the pocket dancing around for 6 seconds like he was a couple years ago because no one was getting open. I hold the opinion controversially that I think Mahomes is kind of playing like B to B plus football right now, but it's a good thing because they're scoring points because he's getting good protection. His receivers are getting open. He hasn't had to be Superman. This team is going to be at its best when everything else around Mahomes is in good position because if Mahomes is not the only player performing well, this offense is going to score 40 like every game. And I think they still got another gear or two. Like I don't think we've seen the best of this offense. Rice is going to get better because even though he had the touchdowns, he didn't have it's not like I looked at that game like, oh, he was wrecking the game. I still think once he starts to assimilate, they'll get, I think the offense will get better. But more specifically, I'm looking at stats. Mahomes this year has the most passing yards in the NFL on throws under 2.5 seconds post snap. He has 947 passing yards on throws less than 2.5 seconds after the snap. The next closest is Daniel Jones at 818. And that's a sign of a healthy offense that's getting good protection and the receivers are getting open and the quarterback's playing within rhythm. I think pretty much I think Mahomes is the MVP, but I still think he has another gear because we haven't seen him make those Mahomes magic or Superman plays a lot over the past few weeks, but he hasn't needed to because the infrastructure around him is in a very healthy position and he's just executing the offense. I think maybe Andy Reid starts to open up the playbook, start pushing the ball down the field, this offense is going to be almost impossible to defend because they do have the quick passing game that they kind of lacked in 2021. That was kind of their biggest issue is teams were not going to let them throw deep. I think once they get the deep passing game going, there's just no way you're going to be able to stop them because, okay, fine, you want to take away the quick game, Mahomes will hit either Worthy or Tyquan Thornton deep. If they want to take away the deep ball, fine, we'll just drop it off to Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice will go get 10 yards of yak every time. And also, coincidentally, like you said, Pacheco and Hunt have been a lot better the past couple of weeks. I think a lot of Chiefs fans were too hard on Pacheco the first couple of weeks. He kind of struggled, but these past 2 weeks, you can't really say their running game has been struggling. And the Chiefs don't need their running backs to be like Bijan Robinson, go get 80 yards, go get 80-yard touchdowns every other game. No, if they can consistently get 4, 5, 6, 7 yards on first down, that's all they need because it's extremely easy. It's much easier to call plays when it's 2nd and 4 than it's when it's 2nd and 9. Like they had to do a lot the past couple of years.
I think it's all well said, Lucas. Internally, they would tell you, look, if they can get 4 yards to carry, they're good. Mm-hmm. Like they don't because it's all they need to just keep a defense honest. Cool, they're in 2nd and 6. They're going to convert 2nd and 6 like 80% of the time. They're just going to do it. They're going to throw the ball twice, and if they have to, even 3 times, depending where they are on the field. And that's it. They're going to get it. Hunt's been excellent for 2 years now in short yardage. Anytime they're in 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, they typically pick it up, which for years they could never pick up. I also think the other thing about this offense that is different, that is kind of hearkening back to what it was under Alex Smith, they finally have a screen game again. They didn't really do that a lot. Like Hunt doesn't have the explosiveness he did coming into the league. And Pacheco, he can catch the ball, but they don't really they would rather him if he's in on 3rd down, it's usually to block because he's become a good blocker. He's usually not going to be the guy they flare out to catch the football. Rashard Smith is really good on these screens because he's he's a receiver playing running back and he can fly. They had 2 3rd and longs against the Raiders. They were like, all right, we're just going to throw it right over your heads and dump it off this guy. And he got both of them. He is a legitimate weapon in that regard. I don't know how much they're just going to legit hand off to him, but I think he is a guy, he creates a lot of matchup problems. If you flex him out, how do you defend him? By normal defensive rules, you defend him with a linebacker, but you don't want to defend that guy with a linebacker. You're put in a weird spot, and they can line him up all over the field. I think his role is going to increase as the year goes on. Like he's not going to be getting 80% of snaps rating, but like I think they're going to start to try to mix him in more and more and more. I would expect, like we saw in the preseason, they ran some like seam routes with him. I could see them doing that out of the back.
Oh yeah,
like they, give him some option routes. I think they really do like him and want to factor him in more. But the other part of it is too, which is obvious, but it's reality. Rice being in there changes their entire offense because
oh my god, yeah,
you can just basically put him in the slot and go, look, Rasheed, read the leverage, run to the opposite side of it. Mahomes is going to read it right almost every time, and he's just going to hit him. Mm-hmm. And if he hits him, Rice has good hands, he's going to catch the ball, and to Luke's point, he's probably going to run for like 8 to 10 more yards. And that's where it becomes, at some point, every defensive coordinator will sit there and say, don't give up the big play. But when you're getting bled to death over and over and over, I mean, I don't care who you are. At some point, you say, all right, we got to stop this. We cannot allow them to just walk us down the field, and you drop a safety down, and that's when Thornton gets open for 39 yards as he did against the Raiders, or Worthy gets open down the field, or Brown gets open down the field. And it's just a very, very varied offense. It's not just that they have a lot of good players. It's that they mesh very well. It's not just a bunch of guys who run down the field. It's not just a bunch of guys who will run sticks on 3rd and 6. Like, they have everything. They have some size, they have some speed, they have guys with good hands, they have guys with varied route trees. It's very hard. And then you have Kelsey, who, if all fails, just find him and throw it to him for 8 yards.
Yeah. And Travis Kelce got off to a bit of a slow start this year, but he's really kind of turned it around these last few games, looking like he did, the Travis Kelce of old. Not quite, but still a productive tight end. And one last thing on Brashard Smith, I think he's kind of filling that Jerick McKinnon role that McKinnon had when he was here, like that pass catching running back. He's very good with the ball in his hands. I think this is definitely the deepest offense the Chiefs have ever had in the Mahomes era.
I agree. The other thing I'd point to, by the way, with Kelce, which I think is interesting. So Kelce this year, some of this is because they've been blowing teams out of the water. He's playing 72% of the snaps. Mm-hmm. That's the lowest snap percentage he's played since 2014, which is his de facto rookie season. Okay, he blew his knee out 2013. Mm-hmm. So he's playing 72% of snaps. Last year's 84%. But what I find really interesting with him is like almost every year without fail, he's seeing minimum like 130 targets. He's got 40 targets right now. Like, he's not, I mean, if you just, quick math on that is what? I mean, 40 divided by 6, basically what, 6, like 5.7 times, if he plays all 17 games, I mean, that comes out to 97 targets.
Yeah.
Like, that's like 3/4 of a year for him most of the time. And yet, he's still got 31 catches. But here's the big number. His success rate is 72.5%. It's the highest of his career. It's not even close. And he's at 12.1 yards per reception. Every year of his career until the last 2 years, he's been either 12-something or 13-something. Last year it was 8.5.
Oh, boy.
So, I mean, it was 10.6, then 8.5. Now it's 12.1 again.
Yeah.
So he's seeing a little less volume, but he's being much more productive when he's getting the ball. And so you're sitting there looking at it. I mean, he's on pace for over 900 yards receiving. Like, if you get 900 yards out of him at 36 years old, that's awesome. Like, that's a Pro Bowl year. That's a great year. So he's been a factor for him after, as you mentioned, a couple of slow games for him early on in the year.
Yeah, I do think those, having guys like Worthy and Rice and all those receivers are taking a lot off his plate, which is helping him out. All right, let's talk about the Chiefs' next game, which Matt mentioned. He will be there. He will be in Kansas City for the Chiefs against the Commanders on Monday Night Football. I got to tell you, Matt and Lucas, this game looks a lot less interesting than it did when the schedule came out, given where the Commanders are and how their season has gone. They are 3-4. It was announced today that Jaden Daniels, their star quarterback, will once again be out. It's the third game he has missed this year. He'll be out with a hamstring injury. Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel, we will not know. We're not sure if they will play. Their top 2 receivers. It's a Commanders team, Matt, that obviously last year they had kind of had this dream magic carpet ride season. They go to the NFC Championship game, and now it kind of looks like regression's kind of hitting, which a lot of people predicted. The injury bug has kind of kicked their ass this year as well. Austin Eckler is also out for the year. Dorrance Armstrong, who's probably their best player up front, he's out for the year now. Just kind of a season where the football gods are kind of getting them back after I wouldn't say lucky, but the very, very kind of, fortunate season they had last year. So Marcus Mariota will be the quarterback. Obviously, Chiefs fans have bad memories with Marcus Mariota and Arrowhead, which honestly good memories because it led to the Mahomes era. So, Matt, what are you looking for in this game? This seems like a game where if the Chiefs just play B football and don't beat themselves like they did against the Jags, they should win, and they should win rather comfortably because this Commanders team in their current state is just not very good.
They should annihilate this team.
Yeah.
They should beat Washington by 20 points. And I don't know if they will, they should. Washington, even if Samuel and McLaurin play, you've got Mariota throwing the ball through it.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? This is going to be about stopping them from running the ball. Because if they can't run the ball and Mariota's living in 2nd and 8, they have no shot. They're not going to win the game. Defensively, they're horrific. Defensively, they're giving up the most yards per attempt in the league. They're giving up the highest yards per completion in the league. Dorrance Armstrong was having a really good year. Unfortunately for him, he's out for the season now, so he's not going to be in this game. Their secondary is a mess. You can just drop back and throw and throw and throw. They're also the oldest team in football. I covered week 2 when they played the Packers. They looked like it. They are not a fast defensive team. Look, the big challenge here, this is a weird thing to say about a Monday Night Football game. The Chiefs can't overlook this game.
No.
That is the fear in this game. It's just Daniels isn't playing. They're under 500. You got Buffalo up next. Like, this is a game that the Chiefs can't overlook because if they win this game, as they should, they go to Buffalo. No matter what Buffalo does against Carolina this weekend, you'd expect them to win. No matter what they do, if the Chiefs go to Buffalo and beat them, they're ahead of them. And they've got the striker on them. And, Buffalo's schedule down the stretch is harder than Kansas City's. They got to play Tampa. They got to play Philly. They've got to play Pittsburgh. They've got to play Houston. They've got to go to New England. Their schedule's tougher. So, if you're the Chiefs, the big thing is now you got to just go out and just look. If you just play a good, solid game, you're going to win this game.
Yeah.
You just have to go out and focus and function the way you need to function. But there's no question. They're double digits favorites, and they ought to be. I mean, this is a game they should really hit this team hammer and nail pretty good in this one.
Yeah, it's a game that if they lose, it'd be a pretty embarrassing loss. I fully expect them to win. They're just significantly better. Even if Daniels was playing, with how bad Washington's defense is and the way the Chiefs have been scoring the ball, they should put up 30 plus in this game, no problem. Lucas, what are your thoughts on the Commanders game before we get to a brief preview of the other games and our picks?
Yeah, I don't have much to add. I mean, the Chiefs should move the ball in this game with Dorrance Armstrong out. They're not going to be able to get pressure. Even if the Chiefs O-line has an off night, the Commanders don't have the horses to just generate consistent pressure unless Von Miller can turn back the clock and pretend it's 2015. But I'm not betting on that. But this is just a Washington defense whose best player is Bobby Wagner, and he's 37. He's still a great player, but they don't have anybody on that defense that the Chiefs really need to care about. Not trying to be disrespectful, but it's Bobby Wagner, and then it's a bunch of nobodies in the secondary, and their pass rush without Dorrance Armstrong doesn't have a lot either. So there's no reason the Chiefs shouldn't move the ball. And with Jay Daniels out, I don't think the defense really should be giving up. This should not be an off night for the defense. This should really be a game they win 31-17, and that's really maybe being a little bit friendly. And just Washington, and the Chiefs pass rush has been much maligned this season. The Commanders have a good left side of the offensive line. Their left tackle, left guard combo of Laramie Tunsil, Chris Paul has actually been pretty good this year. The center through right tackle is just been a complete sieve. Josh Connolly, their first round pick, hasn't exactly assimilated well. And I don't know the status right now of Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin. I don't think we've had the first injury report yet because it's Thursday, so the injury reports are a day back. I'm not sure if Washington with Jay Daniels out, they're just gonna punt on this game, and if those guys are maybe less than 50% or less than 60%, they'll just sit them out and they'll bring all of them back in one game next week. So I don't think this is a game the Chiefs really should be in danger of losing. But I've said that before many times, and this team makes a habit of making competitive games out of uncompetitive situations.
That is kind of the one thing I will say it's interesting about this year, because you're right. I've had that thought a million times. The Chiefs, every time I sit there, I'm they're going to win this game easily. It turns into just a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
That has not been the case this year, though.
Yeah.
That is the one thing with them. They've blown out everybody they've played and they've won. Every win they have has been by a minimum of, I believe, 13 points.
That's the opposite of last year.
Yeah. Right. And the Raiders game, I don't think it's aggressive to say that if they wanted to beat the Raiders by 50 in that game, they'd have done it. And I don't even think they would have been sweating doing it. But no, Look, the big thing if you're the Chiefs, you want to start fast in this game because if you can get Mariota where he's just got to drop back and throw the ball, it's over. Even McLaurin, it's over.
Yeah. I mean, Marcus Mariota is a competent backup, but like he's not beating the Chiefs in Arrowhead. I'm sorry, especially against the way this defense is played against better offenses and better quarterbacks. All right, let's look at the rest of the Week 8 slate. Lucas and I have a picks thing going on. I'm currently leading, not by much. Matt will be our guest picker this week. So there are actually a lot of teams on a bye. The Cardinals, Lions, Jags, Raiders, Rams, and Seahawks all on a bye. So basically the entire NFC West not playing this week. So we'll start with the game tomorrow night. A relevant game for the Chiefs because it is an AFC West team. The Chargers host the Minnesota Vikings. Carson Wentz will once again be starting for the Vikings to the chagrin of Vikings fans. Matt, who do you got in this game? What are you looking for?
Look, this is a game I feel like it's going to be a battle of like two teams trying to lose.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the Chargers at home. I think the big question in this game is going to be can Minnesota, like their defense has this reputation for being terrific. I mean, they got roasted last week by Jalen Hurts. Can they get pressure on Herbert against what is a bad offensive line? If they can do that, they can win. That's their path. Like just wreck the game. Just wreck the game, blitz, play man behind it, and go after them. I think it's a close game. I think it's one of the bigger coin flips of the week. But the Chargers are at home. I know they have no fans. I don't know how much of an advantage it is. But, I'll take them at home to win a one-score game.
Yeah, I'll also take the Chargers. Carson Wentz is just Carson Wentz. One thing about Carson Wentz, former Chief, thank God Mahomes did not get hurt last year because we would have had to watch Carson Wentz. He's basically like Jameis Winston, where he's fun to watch in a bad way, where he'll, lose you the game, but he'll throw for 300 yards in the process. All right, Lucas, who do you got? Chargers or Vikings?
This is a game I really have a hard time. I had a hard time picking. This is probably one of the more difficult games. I'm not trying to be a contrarian or biased. I'm just gonna go with the Vikings. I think this is a situation where I think the Chargers are just reeling. Minnesota, I think they're better than what they showed against the Eagles. I mean, I think the Eagles played a terrific game, but I'm just gonna go with the Vikings. But it's a short week and they're flying halfway across the country. I could easily see myself regretting my pick in 3 minutes. The first 3 minutes of the game.
Yeah, we'll see about that. All right, first game of the Sunday slate. Oh my God, the Falcons in Atlanta. Mike McDaniel is somehow still there after they just got blown out by the Browns of all teams. Matt, I feel like I know who you're going to take in this one.
Yeah, I'll take Atlanta. Miami is not a professional football team, so I think I've written 8 different columns, and I think we've only published one of them because it's just been the same column every time.
Yeah,
this team's terrible. Fire everyone. Yeah, give me Atlanta.
I'm proud of the fact that I never fell for Tua. I mean, not to brag on him.
No,
he wasn't this bad, but he's never really been that good. If anyone actually watched, I'll also take Atlanta. I don't think this is too hard. Lucas,
yeah, give me Atlanta. Atlanta's been kind of like a seesaw where 1 week they've been really good, another week they've been really bad. This is their good week. I think their weapons, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Darnell Mooney, I think they're going to get open against a terrible Miami secondary, and I think Jeff Ulbrich is going to bully Tua. So give me Atlanta, and I don't think it's going to be close.
All right, interesting game here. Ravens, Browns. The Ravens coming off their bye. They're in a deep, deep hole at 1-5. Matt, is Lamar playing in this game? Because he wasn't practicing earlier in the week.
He practiced today.
Okay.
So my official SI picks, I took Chicago. I don't know if he play. If he plays, I pick Baltimore.
Okay, because if it's Cooper Rush or Snoop Huntley, I take the Bears.
Then it's obviously Chicago. If he plays, I'll say Lamar. I think they win. They have a schedule where they could actually get involved here if they keep going, but we'll see.
I don't think the Ravens are a very good football team, even with Lamar. I think they were vastly overrated coming into the season because they're 1-3 with him. The Bears are pretty hot. The Bears have won 4 in a row. Credit to them. I do think the Ravens with Lamar win this game at home. They have to. If they want any chance to do anything relevant this year, they got to win. I'm going to assume Lamar plays considering he practiced, and I'll go with Baltimore in this one against a Bears team that I think is solid but not great.
Yeah, give me. I'm actually going to take Baltimore. I think I am making this pick with the anticipation that Lamar does play. I just think this might be the last hurrah, and I think Lamar is going to want to go all out for this game because I think if they win, the momentum's really going to pick up. Like you said, Matt, their schedule's really easy. So that we've seen 1-5 teams make the playoffs before, particularly located in Missouri. I've done that, and I don't really know if I still buy into Chicago. I understand they're on a 4-game win streak. Yeah. They kind of goofed around with the Raiders, goofed around with Washington, and then New Orleans. I think they played well in that game, but I think if they got better the Saints got better quarterback play, that could have been competitive. On a road game in Baltimore, I think John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson are like their backs are against the wall, more particularly Harbaugh, so they're gonna want to win this game. So I don't know by how much, but give me Baltimore.
All right, here's a game that has a potential hilarious outcome. Panthers-Bills. The Bills also coming off a bye. The Panthers, amazingly, are over 500 for the first time in like 4 years. Andy Dalton will be getting the ball in this game. Bryce Young hurt his ankle against the Jets. Imagine if this game is an opportunity to be very funny.
I'm gonna tell you something right now. I think Bills are going to win this game. The Panthers are going to run all over them in this game. The Bills can't stop anybody from running football. Anybody.
No.
And not just Bijan. The Saints ran for like 200 yards on them. Like, I think the Bills are going to win this game. I also think we're going to look up in the middle of the third quarter and be like, what is going on in Carolina? Where it's like 17-17. Now, I just don't think they can stop Buffalo at kind of the end of the game. But if Carolina can keep it close enough where they can still use their run game, that game could be much more interesting than people give it credit for. But I think Buffalo's going to
win. Yeah, I'll take Buffalo. I do think Carolina will be able to move the ball. And it'll be closer than people think, and Bills fans will be infuriated. But I think the Bills get their first win since week 4.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same page. I think like Matt said, Carolina does not do a lot of things very well, but the one thing they do well is they do have great run blocking, and the Bills have a terrible run defense. So this could just be a game where Carolina just plays the time of possession game. But I just kind of see this one going as like a classic Buffalo blowout win where like the media says, okay, the Bills are back. They're the best team in the AFC. They win like 30-7. But then like everyone who lives in reality is like, no, I'm still not sold on this team. So I think Buffalo wins in a blowout. But if it's close, maybe the wheels start to unravel for Buffalo.
Yeah, it should be interesting. We'll see. Sorry, the water went down the wrong tube. All right, next game. Oh my God, Bengals Jets. The Jets still winless. They're the only winless team.
Disgusting. We don't even did the Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals. The Jets. I'm actively rooting for them to go 0-17.
Cincinnati. I can't believe I'm saying I'm like 90% confident in the Joe Flacco Bengals winning a game, but here we are.
All right. Texans Niners in the early window. The Texans offense is disgustingly bad. They can't block anybody. The Niners are somehow 5-2. I don't know how, like their entire roster's injured. But I think they're going to win this one. I don't know if Houston will be able to score. I mean, I know San Francisco is nobody on defense, but I mean, the Texans offense, I just have no trust in at all.
This sounds like a slam on D'Amico Ryan, but it's not. That offense is so poorly coached. It's almost impossible to watch.
Yeah.
They're so predictable offensively that like an average Joe, can sit here and watch the TV and almost know verbatim what they're running. Like just watching, they run out of this. Nothing looks the same, and then it's ever different. Mm-hmm. Like you watch Kansas City, Romo actually did a good job breaking this down in the telecast last week, where like they'll come out in a formation and they'll run a bubble screen out of it. And then they come out, the same players in the same formation, and they use action to make it look like it's going to be that. And then they hit Gray up the sideline because he peels off the block and runs up the sideline. The Texans just do the exact same play out of the same formation every single time. And it's like, I still think CJ Stroud is good. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think he's developing bad habits because they're just forcing him to do everything. It's tough, man. They're a tough watch. I'll take San Francisco to win the game. I think Saleh's going to absolutely put that offense in hell for 4 quarters. So give me San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with Houston. Like Owen knows, I kind of picked Houston to beat Seattle because I thought coming out of the bye week, that offense would look better, and D'Amico Ryan would coach up the defense well. The defense did its part. That game, and I stayed up for that entire game, and I was so annoyed. Because it seems like anytime the Houston defense made a play in the second half, like, okay, they're back in this thing. The CJ Stroud and the offense were like, no, thank you. And it just, like, even like Dan Orlovsky was going in on Houston's offensive coordinator to the point where I texted Owen, like, his family might have to turn off the game because it was just brutal. But yeah, I think San Francisco wins this game. I think Robert Saleh is going to beat his former mentee, and they get a road win. Houston's on a short week, and I think Houston's going to start unraveling because I think even though their defense is good, that offense is so bad that it's just going to be the lowering tide that sinks all boats.
Yeah, it's unfortunate if you're a Texans fan because like it looked like a couple of years ago, like, oh wow, they're going to be contenders for the foreseeable future, and like they didn't really do a good job building that team since then. All right, next game, Patriots Browns in the early window. Matt, what are you looking for in this one? I feel like this game's gonna be a lot closer than people anticipate.
It could be because Cleveland's defense is legitimately very good.
Yeah.
Look, I think New England's going to win just because Cleveland can't score. They just cannot score. They were the only team going into last week that hadn't scored 20 points in the game, and everybody else has done it twice at minimum. Look, I think this goes back to being I think it's just a low scoring. I think New England wins. It's right. I think it's like a 7-point favorite or something. I think they're right around the number. I think it's 13, something in that realm. Look, Drake May's been awesome, and I think
he's been very good. Yeah,
good. Jim Schwartz will get him sometimes. Young quarterback. He'll confuse him here and there, but yeah, I think they win a low scoring game, but I think they win.
Yeah, I think the Browns defense will keep them in the game, but like I don't know how many points the Browns are going to score, especially on the road. I think the thing about May is like this is by far the best defense he's played this year. They kind of played some easy defenses, so he might struggle a little bit, but he's obviously better than Dylan freaking Gabriel. Yeah, like I don't know. Is Shedeur Sanders going to start some games here eventually? I feel like he's got to.
I don't think he is, man. I mean, look, I'm not the things you hear, and it's not like a personal thing, but I just think he doesn't have enough reps with these guys. Like I think, like I just saw an article out of ESPN, like Shedeur Sanders isn't getting reps with the ones. I'm like, yeah, it's because he's not the starting fucking quarterback. That's why.
Yeah,
that's why.
I mean,
you know, even early in the preseason, like that was the whole thing. Like, well, why is he getting put with the third string? Well, because he's the third string quarterback. That's why. And I think it's just hard. Look, if Gabriel's awful, then maybe they'll throw him in for a few games. But Gabriel's ahead of him right now. Like he's picked up the offense well. He's not been great, but I got to tell you, Shedeur Sanders isn't going to be great either.
Not in that situation. No. Think about the Browns. I'll take New England as well. Think about the Browns. It's like if they had an average offense, I think they're like a borderline playoff team, but unfortunately they don't. All right, Lucas, who you got?
I mean, give me New England. I think it's going to be very close, like you both said. I wonder if this is just going to be a Myles Garrett game, and because he mostly lines up against the left tackle, and Will Campbell's a rookie who kind of had arm length issues. So I wonder if it's just one of those days where one of the greatest pass rushers of all time just goes off against a rookie and just completely wrecks the game, and it's like an ugly like 13-10 game, and that Cleveland just happens to win because they have the best player on the field. But still, I'm going to take New England nonetheless.
Yeah, I think I'm taking the under in this one. All right, last game in the early window, Eagles-Giants. Second time in 3 weeks these teams have played each other. The Eagles looked like they didn't want to be on the field when the last time they played the Giants on Thursday night. They bounced back nicely against Minnesota. They're now at home. They're wearing their Kelly Greens, Matt. Those are the best uniforms in the NFL. Who you got in this NFC East matchup?
The Eagles. I think the Eagles will straighten some things out. I think they win. I think they win by a couple scores. Look, I am very curious to see, do the Giants have any fight in them after that Denver game?
Yeah, Jesus.
Like that game, credit Denver, give them all the credit, but man, that was like, you know how bad you got to be to get 33 points to Bo Nix in a quarter, let alone a game?
Very bad.
That was impossible. I watched every snap of that. I think the Eagles roll them. I do.
Yeah. The Eagles looked like they found something. Jalen Hurts looked like unbelievable against the Vikings. That's the best game I've seen him play, even better than the Super Bowls, honestly. If he can play like that, I think the Eagles win comfortably. They're the far better team. They're far more talented, and it looks like they maybe got out of their funk that they were in for a couple games. And I think the Giants, again, that's a pretty draining loss. And I think they'll probably struggle in this one in a hostile environment.
Yeah, I think New York's cooked. I mean, it wasn't all his fault; it was a lot of his fault. But Jackson Dart looked like he wanted to cry after that game, and so I think this team's cooked mentally. I think they're going to give up on Dable. Hopefully, I'm wrong because I'm a grade A Eagles hater, but I just think the Giants are starting that phase where they're going to like mentally move on to the offseason subconsciously.
For like the 87th year in a row, it feels like. All right, going out to the afternoon slate. This shouldn't be too hard. Saints Bucks. The Bucks looked pretty rough on Monday night. You got to think they bounce back in this one against a Saints team that is not good. Obviously, they're 1-6. They're at least like competitive, so maybe they keep this closer. But Matt, I assume you're taking Tampa here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'll take Tampa as well. Again, like the Saints, they're not good, but like they're not like Dolphins-Jets level bad, but Tampa will want to bounce back after that performance on Monday.
Yeah, give me Tampa. I thought about picking this as an upset because Spencer Rattler has been like weirdly not terrible this year for a couple games. Like maybe they just happen to get a good one, but I'm still going to take the Bucs. I'll take them to cover the 4, and even without Mike Evans or Bucky Irving.
This game's really interesting, Matt. The national game in the afternoon, Broncos-Cowboys. Both teams coming off huge wins. It's out in Denver. So you have maybe the best one of the highest scoring offenses in the league, and the Cowboys against a Denver defense that, despite a poor game on last Sunday, is by and large very good. I'm curious to see who you got in this one, because this is probably the toughest one to get a gauge on.
I'm going to take the Cowboys, and not like from an AFC West bias perspective, but really just look, Denver's defense is very good.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that they do that is elite is get pressure on the quarterback. They are on an all-time pace with sacks. But Dak is playing really well. And they've got 2 big-time receivers, and they've got length at receiver. That's one of the things with them that they present that's difficult. Mike, I guess this comes down to, do you believe more in Dak in that offense against Denver's defense, or Bo Nix against Dallas's defense?
Yeah.
Dallas's defense is horrific.
It's bad.
I'm going to take Dallas's offense, man. I think they win this game like, I don't know, 27-23, something like that. Like, it is somewhat of a coin flip, but Denver's also been kind of living right in some of these games. Man. I mean, they have not played well. The Giants are awful. The Jets are awful. The Titans are awful. They barely won these games. I'll take them. I'll take Dallas to win.
I feel like I've agreed with Matt on every pick. I'm also going to take the Cowboys. The Cowboys are a weird team because I don't think they're good. I think their defense is too bad for me to consider them a good team. They're 3-3-1. They're kind of like what the Bengals were last year, where like their offense is awesome, but they're held back by their defense. I do think the Broncos may have a bit of a hangover after that crazy win against the Giants, so maybe they come out flat in this one. Look, Dak Prescott is playing the best football of his career. I mean, if the Cowboys make the playoffs, he's maybe in the MVP conversation. I think they continue it. I think they get a win on the road. I don't feel good about it because every time I feel like I buy into the Cowboys, they always go out and lay an egg. I'm betting on the Cowboys. And by the way, Matt, Brian Schottenheimer has done a pretty good job this year. I didn't like the hire. I think he's been one of the more impressive first-time coaches. He's done a great job with that offense.
He's been great. He's been great. He deserves a ton of credit. I think you gotta applaud him because that team really, after trading Parsons, I thought they'd go in the tank, and they haven't. They've done a nice job.
All right, Mr. Straczynski, who you got?
Yeah, don't like that we're all betting on a Jerry Jones team to win, but
fair.
Give me Dallas. I think their offense. I like the way it matches up against Denver's defense. I am nervous. Their offensive line was a tire fire the first 4 weeks of the year, but Prescott was covering it up. I'm just wondering if it's just one of those games where they just get like 5 sacks and Dak just has an off night because he's constantly facing pressure. But I'm still going to take Dallas. I think they have a little bit of a hangover, and I just think I'd rather just ride with the elite offense than the elite defense.
All right, we don't need to spend any time on this one. Colts, Titans, Colts, and nothing else needs to be said.
That's fine.
Yeah, the Titans are bad. All right, this game's really interesting for a multitude of reasons. The Sunday night game, Steelers, Packers. Aaron Rodgers taking on the Packers. He already beat one of his other former team in week 1 against the Jets. This one's obviously more meaningful. It'd be cooler if it was in Green Bay, if he went back there, but it is in Pittsburgh. Matt, this is a really interesting one because I think both teams have good records, but neither one of them have played outstanding football. The Packers earlier in the year did. They've been kind of a little shaky the last couple of weeks despite winning. Interestingly enough, the Packers have not won in Pittsburgh since 1970. So that's a bit of a interesting factoid there. Who you got in the Sunday night game?
I think Pittsburgh is the biggest fraud in the NFL. So give me the Packers. Look, I mean, the Steelers have been outgained in every game they've played this year, except for the Cleveland game. They give up 30 points to Justin Fields. Like that team, they're not good. They might even win that division, whatever. I got to tell you, they're one of those classic, like every year in every conference, there's always one division winner that everybody on Wild Card Weekend is like, no, I'm taking the other team.
Yeah.
The AFC, if Denver plays at Pittsburgh, give me Denver. I don't care. And I don't even think Denver's that good, but I'd still pick Denver. Pittsburgh, You know, Aaron Rodgers is complete. His completed air yards per attempt is like 3.
Yeah, he's dinking and dunking it down the field. His numbers are actually pretty good. He's played better this year than I expected him to. I was fully expecting like Joe Namath on the Rams type situation. He's been decent this year, but a lot of short passing. I'm actually going to take the Steelers in this one. It's our first disagreement. The Steelers under Mike Tomlin have a history of losing games they have no business losing and then winning games they have no business winning. Like the Packers, I think, are the better team. They have the better roster. I think they have the better quarterback. But I'm going to take the Steelers in a game. I don't think it will make them a contender, but I just think it's a classic Mike Tomlin winning a game that you probably shouldn't have won, which you could argue they've already done a couple times this year. That New England game, they probably didn't deserve to win that game. They're at home. Yeah, I'm going to take the Steelers. I think Rodgers will be motivated to play well against his former team. I think it'll be a good game.
Even though I agree that Pittsburgh is a bunch of frauds, I'm not really scared of them in a real game. I'm still going to pick them to win this game. I think the combination of a bad loss and a mini bye week plus Aaron Rodgers being as petty as he is, I think that's going to be enough for Pittsburgh to win. Not super confident because I think Micah Parsons could take advantage of those tackles, but I'm going to take an Aaron Rodgers revenge game in this one, but I'm not super confident about it. So there we go.
Yeah, should be very interesting. All right, that wraps up our Week 8 picks. I assume we're all taking the Chiefs. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Matt, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join Lucas and I to talk ball. Good luck in Kansas City on Monday covering that game. You can follow Matt on That Football Show on KCSN's podcast network and the Matt Verderame Show on Patreon. So reach out there. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Verderame. So Matt, Lucas, thank you guys very much, and we will see you next week.
Thanks a lot.